Okay, so hello, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Dobbs here. It's the 9th of April, 2021, and I just thought I'd give you an update to the new model that I'm launching here on BitChute as well as YouTube, and we've had some interesting flybys that have just come in. In my opinion, they're flybys. I can certainly Brandon Corey Nagley just posted this um, on April the 4th. And notice this was spotted in New Zealand. Very interesting curvature coming off here. Very, you're kind of looking almost down it. It's coming. I mean, it's very difficult to say exactly what we're seeing, how we're seeing it there. But certainly there was this other shot as well that was posted by Ultramix TV. He's showing some kind of story that was of what was assumed to be a cloud over again New Zealand. And if I just play a little section of that, just so you can get the formation of that, and then we just come down to this section here. I'm just going to invite you to really go onto the. She's saying, "Oh look, it's still there. It's going into the night, and the whole thing's just hovering there. How can that be? How can that cloud just stay there? We know exactly what it is. We know that it's where I've stopped it in this aspect of the model, and you're gonna. This is the relaunching of the whole new model, revised, and very slightly with what we've got Pluto over here, and we've got what I'm calling a Jupiter orbiting Pluto. Now I know that sounds a bit bizarre if you're new to this at all and you're just coming in, but I'd really recommend to really get an overview. It's a long old video to work through because it brings 1800 years, but the fourth and final orbit of Planet X, showing how the four objects that I've been charting in this object in this timeline are the same objects that Galileo's been seeing. And this object that we're seeing now is hopefully I've got the sound off on that. I'm just gonna, because this is that old video, you've got Kerberos and what I'm calling Charon coming up here, and then you've got Hydra coming in behind. These two do one orbital kind of a loop of Pluto in exactly 11/12 of the time it takes Earth to do one complete rotation around the sun here. And this object coming in here, Hydra, this moves exactly would it be 1/13, 1/12 faster in the time it takes to rotate around the Pluto system. It moves 1/12 faster, so it's moving slightly faster, and these are moving slightly slow, which means every 12 years they come together, and then they're always drifting apart, and every 12 years, just like Jupiter. So they mimic what we understand is the movements of Jupiter, and they mimic them in many different ways. And this video opens, I'm not going to go to it now, I'm just going to show you this, because when I made this model, I made it before this shot, which I will which is the shot on the thumbnail of this video. You probably can just see it down here. I'm just pointing it to it. I'll open it up. It was a third phase of the moon shot very recently, where all around the world did various shots of three massive, well, not the distance, but what looks like three massive comets just all flying together, where they're all of these three objects syncing up. I was catching them, not quite realizing, because I'm showing a very complicated view of this, but I'm understanding that these two are coming together. These two are slightly ahead, but are getting slower overall, are moving slower than this one, which is behind, but is catching up and getting faster. And we got that point when they both synced up over above, and we're now experiencing what I'm of a mind is probably Charon dipping through the I've got them over here because the whole thing drifted over, and I tried to explain that. As I morphed the video around, I lost certain amount of the syncing up. But I tried to explain that that we were going to experience these two from anywhere from April, May, June, July sort of thing, and Hydra we would experience in August. And so one of these two is being seen for the first time from New Zealand. So it's gone now it's going below, or it's getting close. Don't forget, the whole planet is lightly being pulled. Remember, the Earth is here at the moment, and these objects are actually coming down in between Earth and the Sun. All of these objects are going to be coming in between this space. They're all in this space. Even though I've got them kind of over here swinging round, I've tried to capture that transit point over here for this. But it's been a complicated thing because there's all of these orbital inclinations of these twin-tailed objects have been changing as the system has been moving from above the ecliptic plane of where our Sun is orbiting to below. And so you're just seeing a fixed orbit going round, and that doesn't demonstrate that. And these will all be the things that I would so love to upgrade with more assistance, more technology, more know-how, and the information is all there now. Hopefully, if any one of you who's following this, this is open source. This is our rights to know this and to have a kind of clear connection of our place in this galactic system, so we can triangulate and thus connect with where we really are, and our galactic Godhead within that big part of that is knowing where you are. And so I wanted to bring your attention to that, and I wanted to bring your attention to that this object is coming through. You can imagine it's actually coming down this way. So the South Pole is being pulled towards the Sun now because of its transit coming through. The North Pole is being pushed away, so it's going to get colder up in the north. I mean, it's going to be changing around because the whole Earth is twisting in its axis right now. It's ahead of us, though. It's going through ahead of us, which means that it's traveling faster than us. So when we approach the aspects in its tail, they will be traveling faster than us. So we're going to have, the objects. I mean, they're traveling down, and we're traveling that way. So it's basically, it means that the unprotected area of our planet at this time is not the front end, is not the collision, because they're most likely going to get buffeted off by our all the magnetopores and everything else like that's deflecting all of that. It's the backside. These things, as we're cutting through, these objects are coming down and from behind us, going faster than us, and there's very little protection from this aspect. So rear enders, this is a that's the risk of what's coming up here, and it's most likely going to affect the northern hemisphere because of the way they're coming from the north to the south. No one knows, you know what I mean, but the sort of like aspects of the northern hemisphere are going to be and we're seeing up ahead of us, we're getting the big volcanoes. Look at the big Icelandic volcano. That's being consistent. That's still being pulled. The object is still up there. That's Hydra, the one that we know we're meeting in August, but it's way above us, curving down to meet us in August, but it's above us at the moment, and it's going to track us over there. This one's cutting down before, so we know that because we could see we've still got massive lava flows in the Icelandic volcano, and I saw one, a couple of days ago, around about the time when this flyby went by. But it was actually right on the Neat Moon. One of the kind of like the valleys where this volcano is in. Can't even say what that Gelding Della, or whatever it's called, volcano in Iceland is. I saw a massive area that had taken best part of 3 weeks just to fill the tiny bit at the bottom, just fill itself in the course of one day and one night on a speeded up footage a couple of days ago. That's increased in the north, and then you come over and you come to Popocatépetl going absolutely crazy as well. Lava's just absolutely flowing down the side, and Bacay volcano in Guatemala, the same thing. Lava spewing down the side. These are on the side, and we see the object going through. We're chartering this. We saw it all the passage in November. What we're seeing now, the only aspect of this we really saw big was around about November and October. That was these were all the coming in passages. These other two, this Hydra and this other two, this Kerberos and Hydra, that are cutting down through here now, ahead of us. It's all starting now. It's really starting now. So I just want to, I don't know what to really do with it, or all of this, I mean, other than to say that this is totally normal for this earth. Every kind of like, this is a big part of a cycle. This happens once every 1800 years, and the last time it happened was in 262. Jupiter discovered by Galileo. That is Planet X. Jupiter was Planet X. It's just been kind of like, it's just been thrown into this kind of like story of normality, into the standard model, and actually that's when it arrived, really. That's when it arrived. And what a peculiar story that we're in. So I just want to go over to this. I'm going to come back to this guy's question, pronounced detailed. And I just thought, because coinciding with flybys appearing to be much more pronounced and detailed, question mark there as well. But what did I write in this? I wrote my answer to this was, in this vid you see a plasma blast. Okay, so just play that. So that's the plasma blast I'm talking about, the one that Jeff P caught on the 14th of October 2016, the shot that really put him on the map, the epic shot, the just utterly fantastic, caught on a webcam like 10 o'clock at night, looking northeast from North America. We all downloaded it. It was a massive thing. We were all getting much more views. YouTube wasn't being censored like it is now. I only get my first hour or so as kind of like views, and then it just goes off. It's just bizarre. Maybe just no one watches it after that, or no one's interested in any of this stuff. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you really are just all interested in COVID. Somehow I really doubt it. But what I answered to that was, in this video you'll see the plasma blast. Imagine that happening to Earth. Every circuit board would melt. Every circuit board would melt worldwide. Total collapse of the system. Worst case scenario, and most probable in this model in early August, which is what I just kind of tried to show you there. Imagine if there was a way to store that wealth in our genetics, so no CME or massive spike in Schumann resonance that could melt steel. that's, excuse me, I've sometimes just bang this stuff down and just check my grammar after, and I'm just like, oh my god. So, but you get the gist of that, you know, whether it's a planetary passing that creates a massive burst of power as these two, the amount of electricity that would create, and the surge, the human resonance would go up, the electromagnetic energy between the crust and the ionosphere is just like is would just, it would melt every pylon, everything would be melted. You know what I mean? Where would you do? So, okay, so no CME. Where to store all that data that is not affected by any of that? Now, I think you're guessing where I'm going with that. But when you let the bankers move into the sacred genetics of our holy temples, our bodies themselves, I wonder what other troves might be hidden in that Trojan crypto wallet. They'll no doubt attempt to buy those who refuse, as they won't be allowed to force it directly. Now, I don't know if you remember, because of I told you how I'd got 6,000 Ripple and half a Bitcoin in my truck. Just the, you know, the Bitcoin, the XRP Ripple, 6,000 XRP Ripple and half a Bitcoin, and the truck caught fire on the night I made the first video. You'll see it on the internet, and then you'll see the truck there all burnt out. My pink truck completely burnt out, and I didn't have the codes written down or anywhere else. You know what I mean? It was just like it was gone, and I said recently, I said, you know, the Ripple's gone right down, and you know, the cryptocurrency. I tried to give you a big clue, but a few friends of mine kind of like really got into it there, and you're seeing a massive transfer of wealth. Now, why are they going to transfer all this wealth into digital currency, and what's the intention? What happens if all our banking systems get fried? You know, it's really, you know what I mean, the big biblical conundrum that is, you know, it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. You know, this is, the conundrum is, how does a rich man pass through the eye of the needle? That's the real question you got to ask. You know, and how they're going to do this, and where you're going to store your wealth if this does go. You know, Faraday cages. You know, but you know, can you find anywhere that you can shield from gravity? Can you create a box and you can stop gravity? You know, it's just like they're concerned. They're concerned. This isn't just about kind of earthquakes anymore. This is about all the digital data, everything electronic. So it's a really good idea to kind of start getting an idea, because as you know, I'm not too sure really what happens here. We've got 3 flybys, one that's happening now but is ahead of us, and another 2 to come. And there's the thumbnail shot of those. I don't need to pull that up, do I? That was the late November shot as well. You know, that was that object there that Brandon Corey Nagley put up at the end of November 2020 it's the same object that's causing the Icelandic volcano right now. It's just every part of this we can now predict. Every part of this we can now charter. The real question is, in my mind, is, you know, the great shots that someone like, you know, Mr. MBB333 posted on the 21st of December 2020, when we saw the Great Conjunction, and we all just saw Jupiter and Saturn, and we saw it really massive. You know, all these There's just so many conundrums out there of what we're seeing. It's almost like these objects mirror exactly the same mathematics as those objects, those tiny objects. When we see those tiny objects that we mostly need telescopes to see, these big objects map its movements exactly. Their mathematics mirror its movements. If you go to the exact perihelion point of Jupiter, the next one, which is the 20th of January, around about 2023, and you minus the exact orbital period of Jupiter, 11.89 years from the 20th of January 2023, you must come exactly to the day Fukushima went bang. And we can see these massive things, and then we can see these other things that just don't seem to sync up with these massive objects that we're also seeing. You know, what do you do with that? What do I do with that? Where do I go with that? You know, I don't know the answer to it. I don't know the answer to it. I'm not suggesting that I do know the answer to it. But it smacks of deception. It smacks of deception to me. Because, you know, I just don't, that aspect I do not understand. The flybys I do understand. We've got that down. These things are coming in. Throw your beliefs at it. Do what you like. It's funny that the shot that just came in of that flyby just going by came on Easter Sunday. So there's one for Brandon, definitely. You know, I'm what about a connection to peace and divinity, not necessarily through Jesus, but a path to peace. And you know, we all find God in our own individual ways. And you know, this thing, you'll see why so many people kind of like are Christians who follow this, is because when you see it, it's quite scary, especially when you can start calculating earthquakes and volcanoes and tsunamis and all the rest of it, which I've been quite good at doing that, haven't I? Really, I know it sounds a bit out of my own backside, but you know what I mean? I've given you no end of flybys, one after the other, after the other, after the other, and shown you a model that is difficult for most people to get their heads around, even though I can just show you an endless sequence of data to back up everything that I say. Belief is a fickle thing, and this is what we're going through here, and all of us are making a choice now, you know, but you allow your genetics to be the banking centre. What else are you letting in? What else are you letting in? Sometimes when you take hold of one thing, you end up letting go of something else. You know, you can only serve one master. That's what my father used to channel White Cloud, and John White Cloud used to talk about that all the time. You can only serve one master. All the love in the world. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.